Okay, I apologize again. I am back. I hope if you can see me, somebody please tell me in the chat that it's visible so I know it's there. I'm sorry, something's acting up out here. So, can you hear me now? Oh, thanks for understanding. Am I audible now? Okay, I think it's audible. Yes. So I think the most important aspect of the ergonomics that we are talking about is about the reduction of the muda, mura, and the muri. So that ultimately today, if your selling price is here and your cost price is here, there is no way that the customer is going to increase your selling price. All you can do is reduce your cost price and reduce the wastages in your system. That's exactly what you need to do when you talk about ergonomics. You can increase your space utilization. You can make better profits. That is end of the day what is the purpose of every factory. If you look at a few non-ergonomic movements that you can see, when you bend your hip, your ball socket joint of the arm, the various places in your body can have a lot of stress. So we might think that it's only done once or twice, so it's okay, or we are very strong. But doing this over a long period of time, when you twist, when you move, it leads to a lot of stress in the human body, and that can lead to a long term health hazard. That can lead to a lot of immobility that can lie within you, which is dangerous for your life also. So when people need to work, like in the Western countries, it's always there are trainings given on these ergonomic movement, whereas in India these are taken for granted, which is kind of sad. So from this presentation, if there's like anything you want to take up and maybe close out here, even if you finish it off on this, what you finish learning from here, I think that is good enough. So for some of the low hanging fruits that you might want to start from tomorrow is about you need to avoid lifting materials from the floor while seated. It's an absolute no-no. Try to use as many handling aids as possible. Do not use jerky movements because the impact that you'll have on your is very bad. You should never lift your load over an obstacle. So the rule is always the load should move horizontally. You should perform lifts in areas where there is lighting. I think in factories also a lot of accidents occur because of tripping. I myself trip a lot. So when things are lying around and there is no space, there is uneven surfaces, the lighting is poor, you can trip. You need to modify objects and redesign your job so that you can work in better manner. You need to seek assistance from your co-workers, and etc etc. So at the end of this, when we request you for connecting with the this back, we will ensure that we send this to you so that you can review this. You can blow it up into an A3 and put it up. Always keep lifting between shoulder and knuckle height. This is a minimum rule that you need to understand, that when you're lifting, always lift between this zone. This is you as in your workers. The next is that when you're doing manual handling, you need to make sure that when you need to access the load, always stabilize. Do not move without stabilizing on the load. Always rotate from your foot. Never rotate on the torso, because if you move with the torso out there, you'll put a lot of strain on your torso there. You always need to keep your back straight and always need to bend at the knees. Some people make the mistake of bending at the back and using that strength to lift it up. Should use your leg pulling force up. Always the head should be straight when lifting things, and keep the load as close to the body and always readjust. So if there is a lot of interest in these ergonomics, I can, number one, of course, we will send you these documents going ahead. But if there is a lot of interest in the chat and we monitor that out, I can request. We have a PhD in industrial engineering working with us. Her name is Divyanka. So we can kind of convince her to take a course specifically on ergonomics for you guys after about 2 weeks. So if I look at maybe the so if I look at the chat box, can I get some you know yeses that you would want to get these the ergonomics webinar done? Do you think that's of interest? Can I hear a yes on the chat bot? Okay, okay. There are a few, yes. So great. So we will organize a webinar and keep you updated about this for too. So I would like to show you a small, example about what really ergonomics can do. This is a this is an actual factory setting in which this guys, let's say, they have a lot of boxes that are around. There is a lot of movement of goods by people manually that is being done, because that's the reality. Yes, if there are boxes, let's say that this is a logistics factory, and this guy has to keep pushing things in a treacherous manner. This guy is at least lucky, he's got some kind of a trolley, so he's pushing the trolley, he's got strain on his back, he's got strain on his arms, there is a lot of fatigue that he's undergoing, right? And this, if it is replicated across more people, the problem with that is that things slow down. This can lead to accidents. This can lead to failure. A lot of problems. So if just look at this, one small equipment that can be done. This is called a skato. So this small equipment will enable this guy to gamify things. He can move things in a much smoother manner. He can move things much faster, and the stress that he had was reduced dramatically. So of course, the small investment that is done into this can really multiply. For example, something like this will cost you about 15 or 16,000, but just imagine what kind of multiple of productivity that you would get in getting this going. So this is just an example that lies down to you. If you really think about your factory in different ways and you can think about doing this, you can do that. The second concept I would like to talk to you is about the vertical factory, which is what I also promised to you in the pitch that I was talking to you about. Today, if a factory, I'm giving a bare minimum value of, let's say, 10,000 rupees a square feet, and the factory is, let's say, 2,000 square feet, the capex that's gone into it is almost 2 crores. So maybe you invested into the factory at a time when it was affordable. Today, if you want to expand and you want to buy more space, it's next to impossible to, first of all, find place in a crowded city around you. But what you can think about doing is go for a mezzanine. Mezzanine, by definition, is something that is less than 5 meters in height, and you can get FSI in a very cheap rate, and you can build it because there are structural mezzanines available. So let's say at a cost, it will be between 500 and 1,000 rupees a square feet. So let's say you want to add 1,000 square feet mezzanine, you are actually looking at 10 lakhs investment. But this is going to increase your capacity by 50%, which is phenomenal. So if you want to know what a vertical factory can do, or what a vertical factory looks like, this is exactly what a vertical factory kind of looks like. So you can see the factory has gone vertical. There is a lift that is used for loading and unloading of the truck. People are not moving things by hand. The truck exactly will align with whatever is the height of your system of your truck. That is, you get things on a pallet, move it around. You have a palletizer or a depalletizer if required. You can move on to a conveyor. Once the conveyor is there, you can make the conveyor go along the whole factory line. And from there, you can do vertical lifting where people also move up and down vertically. You can do vertical lifts like elevators. So if you, this is a mezzanine I was talking to you about. So you can see all the markings on the floor where the floors are defined. Your movement of the material is done, your rotation of the equipment is done. So if you really see this kind of a factory, which is called basically a vertical factory, if you do invest into something like this, your health and safety of the premises goes up dramatically, number one. Number two, you're able to utilize your space and your people in a much better manner. So the vertical factory is definitely the factory of the future. Each and every person should think about how you can do this and go forward. I have some few tips given to you in a simple manner. Things are not complex at all. So I would like to showcase some of them. So for truck loading, unloading, you have this thing called the scissor lift. A scissor lift is a simple equipment. You can put it in a pit in a matter of 2 days. If required, you can install this. You can pick up loads as high as 10 tons. This can align to the truck. You take it from a pallet down to this and then move it out into your floor. So this is one of the most ubiquitous equipment. Nandan has made more than 2,500 such scissors from 500 kgs right up to 40 tons. Yes, you heard that right. 40 tons is the biggest scissor lift that has been designed in India. Actually, no, designed in Asia. And Nandan is proud to say that we were able to execute that. You can do dock levelers, but globally now there is a trend towards reduction of dock leveler installations because of the slope. Compared to the scissor lift, in the scissor lift, this is always horizontal. So dock leveler could be prone to accidents because if the rollback happens, it can fall on the man. So you need to consider that as an important aspect. There is battery operated scissor lifts where the scissor lift can go up and down. With a battery, you can move battery operation, you can move it around. These go on wheels, so you don't need rails, you don't need an overhead crane, you don't need movement. This is movable very easy with even a lady if required. There are a lot of very hardworking ladies in factories these days. They can be utilized even for this. This is a fantastic product that we make called the telescopic conveyor. So something that needs to get loaded into a truck, the conveyor is fixed and can keep on extending or retracting as required, so that you only drop the material at one end and it goes down to the other. So this particular photo that I'm showing has been installed at the factory of Mahindra tractor division, where they use this for unloading rims. Earlier, they used to take about 6 people to unload a truck filled with tractor rims, and as of today, it takes them just 2 people, and they can empty out an entire truck in half an hour. So, coming to think about it on an ROI perspective, the investment that they did in the equipment can pay off in the time, the damage of the truck, the safety that goes up. Safety is like they had damages on rims, all that is gone. So this is a beautiful example of saying how a small equipment can convert it into this. That reminds me, I have a story on this too. There is a social angle to this whole ergonomic situation. We've installed this kind of a conveyor in a leading cement plant. We had a big resistance from the union there. So we kind of, had thought, okay, this is a experiment and it's not going to go ahead. And literally, the people in the union had accused us that we are going to take away their jobs and stuff like that. But one of these days, when I was, going there, after about 2 months of installation, I let them know that I'm coming for a visit to see how it's working. And from far away, I see this leading guy from the union coming running towards me. I got really scared. I said, "Wow, he's coming to hit me or what?" So I kind of was like ready to run away, but then I stood my ground. And when he came close by, he had a smile on his face. So I was like, "Hey, hi, how are you?" So he's like, "Hey, I heard yesterday from the supervisor that you're coming, and I got these laddus for you." I was kind of surprised. I thought, okay, this is one of those tricks where he poisons his laddu, and the moment I eat it, I'm going to die. So I said, I was looking at him with a little hesitation, and I said, for what is this for? So he said, नहीं नहीं साहब इसमें कुछ डाला नहीं है देखो हम खाता है. So he ate that laddu and he gave the laddu to me. I happily ate it too. So I asked him, what is this for? So he's like, last week my kid had to write an essay saying, what does my father do for his school? And he asked me. So I told him that I'm a hamali in a cement plant, or I'm a mathadi in a cement plant. And then he asked me, okay, what do you do? So he said, earlier I used to carry the gunny bag on my back and drop it into the truck. I used to help them load trucks. But recently my company has bought one, machine where the machine, I get a wireless remote in my hand and I press it, it goes in and out like magic. And I only need to drop the gunny bag at one end and it goes to the other end and unloads in itself. So then the guy's kid told him that, hey, Papa, you're not a Hamali anymore. You're a machine operator. So that literally got, and he said the empowerment that he felt after his son saw him in that angle is something that is beyond, measure. Still gives me goosebumps. I said, that's an empowerment that I did. And we are so proud that we were part of this. I went and told the particular cement company, they actually published it in their sustainability index that year, and going forward I think they're going to fit it in a lot more of their premises. So that's a little offbeat story, sorry. So the next is of course the portable dock lift. We can do multiple options where you have flaps and stuff like that. Up to 1000 kgs is standard. Up to 10,000 kgs is good if you want to take a pallet into a truck or a forklift also into a truck. There can be turntables. So if you install a turntable, like we mentioned, you don't need to rotate around, you don't need to lift it up. You just need to press a foot pedal. This lift will go up and down, and there's a rotator on top of this, so that with a hand you can move it, you can stock things, you can rotate, you can put a shrink wrap around. Multiple things can be done. This can also be automated. So turntable is a very important equipment. So here we are talking about a lot of these material movement systems that is there. So rather than just giving names, so pallet truck is the simplest one. So something like this would cost you maybe 15 to 20,000, depending upon what quality you will buy. But if you buy a good quality one and you invest into this and you invest into a few pallets, day after tomorrow you can start saving money and moving things. The same version, you have a battery operated version where this guy can just stand here and using this small little pedestrian joystick device, he can get moving onto this. uh, the next one is the battery operated stacker. So you can see the stacker can be used to move things, can also be lifting up and down and keep things on a higher level. A forklift is something we know, but it's very expensive, more difficult to operate. None of these other equipment requires any kind of certification, but for a forklift, you need a certification. Different kinds of scissor lifts, different kinds of trolleys which are used around. So even if you invest into a few little trolleys which cost maybe 2 to 5,000 rupees, depending upon what kind of capacities you will take up, you can immediately improve your ergonomics in your factory. So these are some ideas. Again, we would be glad to share this presentation with you at the end. Whoever has attended, you'll get a link. Please fill up that link. You'll get the presentation and the PDFs across. So like you can see, of course, I didn't get too many pictures of Indian factories with ladies moving them, but I think ladies are in general more dedicated to what work they do, maybe. So in the future, this could be a big possibility where they're not just sewing things or not just on the assembly line. They can also be seen as frontline workers on par with other things. So, but these equipments will be necessary to make them handy, so that you're not looking at just the brute force, but actually using the brains and using dedication to move things there. So again, to show you how some of these equipments kind of work. So this is a hand pallet truck, very easy to move, very easy to take it around. You can put them into pallets. You get the pallets also very cheap, wooden pallets, plastic pallets. So you can just pump it up, pull it out, and then move it. You have a hydraulic scissor lift, which is called, this is called a trolley. So with a small foot pedal you can move this up and down. You can use it to slide off things, you can use it to move up. The hand pallet truck is a very, very simple equipment made by a lot of companies. Nowadays they come in plastic too. So instead of carrying things or boxes, you can make 20 or 30 boxes at a time and move them around. All you need is a good plain surface. You have manual steering, which can be used for pushing around, can be used for truck loading or unloading, can be used for racking things, can be used for taking things from height. Again, the bare minimum is a foot or a hand operated. You can do battery operated up and down. You can do movement in whatever way you deem fit. You have the semi-electric stacker, where the stacker is able to, the battery is operated for up and down and the movement is manual, the man is pushing it. It's relatively inexpensive, but very, very useful movement. Then you have a fully battery operated stacker, where the entire stacker is fully electric, like we call it. This with a small button can be moved around, and person can move it. This you can go to bigger heights, you can move to various places there. So so a lot of MHE is there. So like I said, I am not pitching all of Nandan's products. I'm letting you know what could be done. There are a lot of companies in India who make them. You're free to go and look up and give it there. The next idea that I'm giving it to you is for truck self-loading. So you could own trucks or you could have captive logistic requirements. You could invest into an attachment that gets done into trucks. For example, this is called a column tail lift. You can install this in the back of a truck, and the driver with a press of a button can take a 1 ton pallet or a roll cage down, up and down, and he can just push things. So instead of 10 or 20 people like who are required to remove boxes, you can start palletizing things. You can put things into roll cages. So with a leading FMCG supplier who's got malls and other things, We made a case study with them. They used to first fill boxes and go and give deliveries to various shops. So we made a pilot with them by installing something like this. What we saw was earlier it used to take them close to about 1.5 hours of filling time to fill the truck, and at each location it used to take them about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. The truck had to be standing there. They had to find the people. They had to get people out and get moving. But after we fitted this, one driver and one co-driver were able to load a truck in exactly 19 minutes, and they were able to unload it in each location in not more than 4.5 minutes. So imagine a small place like a Reliance Fresh. It's in a crowded zone. So being in a crowded zone, the problem is that the truck can't stand there for too long. With this, you're able to load and unload, moving it very easy. We have applications where nowadays, with the COVID, oxygen deliveries are becoming very critical. In our little way, we have helped that problem. We are providing a gas lift to the industry, where instead of the small oxygen bottles, they can take a big Dura cylinder weighing about 400 or 500 kgs, and one person can move it onto the platform and move it out. So do contact us if you have these captive requirements. We can come down to you and we can work with you. The next is called a truck mounted crane, where this is a knuckle boom crane which folds in the front and can pick up the article and place it on itself and move. So now you don't need a Hydra plus a truck. A truck with the knuckle boom crane can do the trick, right? So this again is a fantastic product. Then we are talking about travel, because I'm talking about a vertical factory. If you put up a mezzanine, how do you move your material there? How do you plan your process flow so that you're able to move things up and down? So the question that comes across is exactly that. So for that we have the hydraulic goods lift. This is a system which is able to, move things between levels. We can make this up to 5 floors. And like we said, this is hydraulic. It doesn't have any ropes. It doesn't have any chains. It doesn't have breakages that are linked to them. You can see this orange thing. That's our Nandan patented belt system that we use for lifting this up and down. Very heavy duty. We can make this to loads as much as maybe 5,000 kilos if required. So we have and like you can see in this slot, there is no walls, there is nothing, but it is completely safe to use. We have interlocks, there are railings around, there is a grill system that is put up so that the load can be put up on one level, can be removed at another level. This is driven by a hydraulic power pack, and you can move out. So 5 floors, we're talking about almost about 20 meter. Recently, we are just doing a 20 meter installation at a customer site, where the entire travel is over 20 meters or 5 floors. And the pallet of 5 tons can be loaded down. Sometimes they might even take a forklift up and down. And from there, you'll be able to take it on, forward. We have a mechanical goods lift where a similar kind of thing, freestanding structure. This can go up and down. We can again, theoretically, we have done this up to even 100 tons, where we talk to one of the customers for taking a plane underground. We've designed something like that for them. This can be installed without much of building load. The entire load is coming on the ground and going up stably. We also have ASRS systems, flexible conveyors. So just like we talk about ergonomics, we talk about so many things. We had a customer who was using this for storing of armaments, very critical equipment, and while storing this, they were using hydras, cranes, people. So it was a hazard as far as safety was concerned. So Nandan went in. We were able to, look up the solutions. We were looking up at various things that we can help them with, and we came up with a design called the ASRS. So what you see, this is custom made. So we've only made one of this, and I think it's the only ASRS system in the world of its kind. So this can move front and back to almost 30 meters. It can go up and down in a stable manner. It can rotate through a turntable. And what you see coming out, these are all, they're drawer kind of mechanisms which can keep a 1.5 ton article. And this guy will have a small touchscreen PLC. All they need to do is punch in the SKU number, and the machine will go. It will open the door, it will grab the article, and it will get it back. So all this was done totally indigenously. This was actually inaugurated by Raksha Mantri, and she was surprised that a company could make this in India without any collaboration. And Team Nandan did it. So we are very, very proud about something like this. So would like to also show you something called a flexible conveyor system. So the advantage of a flexible conveyor is it's on wheels. It can be moved around. You can make it into any shape. It doesn't block up your space. The gravity flow is automatically done so that you put the box at one end, it keeps flowing out to the other. And because of this flow, because of this movement, the again, you might have, you might not palletize everything. So when it comes out here, you can interface this with another truck loading conveyor maybe, and go up. So the complete the area of handling systems is so vast, so wide, so unique. You can go down to a ASRS system. This is done by a fantastic company called Rhinac. They do ASRS right from the racking. This is a custom made building if required. You can go and the box will go to exact location where it's meant to be in a complete automated manner. I remember this factory I've been to in Italy. It was almost about, I think, 60 or 70,000 square feet was a factory, and only 5 people were working there. Throughout, it works 24/7, and these 5 people work in 2 shifts or 3 shifts, I think. And inside the factory, it's completely shut off, no lights, nothing, because everything is done by machines. And that is the beauty of this whole thing out. Machines can work 24/7. You need to look at a machine as an investment and not an expense. So Rhinac does a few of these, and they do a good job out of this. So Nandan doesn't do these ASRS systems. So we thought, let me just show it to you. But yes, if you have a problem, do connect us. We will help you get the best solution at zero consultancy cost. Don't worry about it. So if you need to load machines like dies, people think EOTs are the best solution, but they lift it with a EOT. But when you need to load into the machine, it can swivel, it can swing, and it can lead to a lot of damage. So at that point of time, you would load the thing into a small, die trolley like this. It'll have rollers. One person can easily push it inside at whatever height they require. Uh, Truck loading is one of the biggest problems that we have today. So Nandan has, this is specifically done just before the pandemic. We designed this system so that based on need and based on systems, we've already installed more than 25 of these all over the country. Very easy to order. What this does is there are 2 versions. One is fixed and one is on wheels. You heard that right. It can be on wheels too. It's called a portable dock lift. So if you don't have a dock or your dock is at variable heights, you don't want to do a ramp because ramps can, like a box like this, will fall off of the ramp. So we want to create a horizontal platform that can go up and down. This goes up and down completely horizontal at all points of time. And from here, it raises to the height of the truck, and you can just push it into the truck. Very easy to use equipment. You can even make this operational on batteries. There was one particular customer who said that the power in his factory is only available for about 5 or 6 hours. So we said, yeah, why not? We gave him a battery lift. We gave them a battery system so that it charges the battery, and he's actually loading and unloading 23 operations in one single charge of the battery. We've actually tested the loading till the battery completely drained off. So it was able to lift up 23 times. We can make this even up to, with a forklift, it can move up. That means 5 or 10 tons. Also, we can design and put up, but the popular ones are 1.5 to 2 tons. This can be sent from here in a dismantled condition. We have one of the products where I think is a quick fix for you. Not very expensive. The price ranges from close to 4 lakhs to 7 lakhs, depending upon what kind of options you take, what kind of payloads you want, and all that. But whoever has bought it has talked about, truck loading has improved almost double. That the dock is only occupied for a less time. You're able to move things. And like I said, empowerment. In today's day, when your worker works for you and goes back and say, my company invests into me, because सेठ लोग तो उठाता नहीं है ना, worker उठाता है. So this equipment, actually the owner is the workman who's working there and is able to put that. He will become a machine operator, and just imagine what kind of magic he will do for you in your factory. So in short, I think, running through, this is what I could think about. This is what I put up as a first kit. And as I promised you again, this should not be more than half an hour, 40 minutes in time. I would like to take up questions from people. So the chat bot is open. You can chat your questions there. You can put it up, and more. We would be more than happy to answer it to you like on an immediate basis. So yes, okay. So yes, somebody is asking me about the scissor lift versus the dock leveler. So that's a very good question. I think in terms of um, the dock levelers are always inclined, right? Because they have variable height for various trucks. And in terms of getting packages into the truck, what happens is that if your guy is not pushing it in a correct manner, or if your load is beyond, let's say, 3 feet, it can topple back on him. So imagine you have about 300 kgs of load raised up to height that topples back on a guy. I wouldn't want to be in that place when it happens because he can get injured. It's very, very dangerous. We do know of a cylinder manufacturer who fills cylinders, and they had a dock leveler in their factory. When they were actually pushing an oxygen bottle into the truck so that it can be leveled with the truck, this rolled back on that person, and because of that, it actually fell on him. And very, very sad to report that that person died. The company was shut down for a long time, and the person's thing went away for a few lakh of rupees. Taking risk on somebody's life is not fair, is what we think. And that's where you should invest into better material handling systems, because it is not enough to just make up, but it is also important to put it into this. A scissor lift will always go up and down parallelly. There is no question of rollback, and you can load it in a much easier manner. There is less stress on the person and taking it forward there. Mahesh, yeah, good question there again. Ergonomics applied on the production process. So I do feel that firstly, the study of your process, which is called work study or industrial engineering, is very, very important. In India, we don't really pay big emphasis to that, thing. People just take it for granted because your manpower is available very cheap. But if you see the cost that a person has to move for amount of time, what could be the potential damages, what could be the wastages in terms of time, etc. That is exactly where this system will come up. So if you do a study, if you do a documentation, you will realize the amount you put into capex, you will recover in a matter of 6 to 7 months. That's my guarantee. So from Nandan side, what we can do is, if you have such a problem, we will mail you at the end of it, and you can book up a 30-minute. No, there is no this thing at all. You can ask us questions. You can put up your problems. We will give you solutions, and there's no obligation for you to buy. That's what my sales team is empowered with. We, in our sales manifesto, we do have a sales manifesto. In this, one of the very strong topics we mention is, it does not matter what we want to sell. What matters is what my customer wants to own. So in that aspect, I will remind you that you need to make sure that what you need, the problem statement, if you define correctly, we will come up with a solution for you in the most I would say, because I am a very, very firm believer in the Occam's razor. If you've not heard about it, Occam's razor principle states that if there are multiple solutions, generally the simplest one is always right. So you don't want to complicate something unnecessarily. So we would give you a very simple, robust system, and taking it on from there, you can definitely get it done. So Mahesh, for sure, we do know your factory, and we can come and help you up with whatever you need with ergonomics. We will give you a session on that FOC. And like I promised also that after 2 weeks, we will send you an invite for a seminar on ergonomics, which is specifically related to the workman and the health and safety. Health and safety is very important. You can see, like, even I am wearing a fluorescent vest. I forgot actually to remove it when I came back from the factory. But wearing a helmet, wearing a vest, wearing safety shoes, these are bare minimum things that we should do as companies, so that it improves the safety of the workplace we are in. That's where it is. There's another good question from Sandur Subramaniam. What will be the load bearing capacity of mezzanine floor? Good question. So while I do, recommend mezzanine floor, it has to be with respect to your application. The bare minimum weightage for mezzanine floor goes with docks, where if you have a racking system, the racking system is continuous, and you have a mezzanine which goes around. So only people walk or trolleys go. There, the rating can be as low as 300 kg a square foot. If you go more, if you put a machine, let's say in Nandan, we are planning mezzanine with the load bearing mezzanine where we'll have lathes, we'll have welding, we'll have fabrication, we'll have a plasma cutting machine also on the mezzanine floor. And for that, we are going with a rating of almost 3 tons per square meter. So the design of the mezzanine is an art by itself, but it can be done. And today they're done very fast because you just lay those prefab beams, you lay decking sheets over it, as well as you will then take it forward that you lay concrete, you lay oxychloride, you lay epoxy, whatever you think is right, or maybe even tiles, and then you can lay it up. That again reminds me a story. Nandan began way back in 1991, where my father was an accidental entrepreneur, and one of the first jobs he did was actually a mezzanine floor. After he set up Nandan Enterprises, when the company he was working with shut down. So from there, when he kind of decided to form Nandan by himself, one of the people that he kind of knew said that, "Hey, I want a mezzanine floor. Can you help me with that?" So he said, "Yeah, why not?" And I think in one night, he erected an entire mezzanine floor of almost about 600 square feet. This I'm talking about 1991, when there was no CAD, there was no simulation, there was no work study, there was no planning. That is pure grit. So mezzanines are, load bearing. You can make it to whatever you deem fit. So your process flow will determine what kind of loading you want. But yes, 1 meter, 2 meter, one kg per meter or 2 kg per meter is very common nowadays. You can go for that, and it again depends upon what's the span. Do you want pillars underneath? So we are actually doing a mezzanine which is almost about 7.5 meters span, with no pillars in between, and that is helping us. Yes, so I'm thinking of increasing my factory by almost 40 odd percent with the FSI that is limited there. So yeah, lovely, good, Pawan, good to hear that. So, any other questions that I would like, you would like for us to address, or want to know about some equipments and stuff like that? Let me just look at the chat bot. Good. So I think, yeah, I apologize once again for the initial, you know, the tech glitch. That's Murphy's law, which states anything can go wrong, it will. So kind of happened. I had two internets, and still switching between them, I had trouble myself. It kicked me out twice. But the just as a point, at Nandan we have a very passionate team of 150 people, where we believe consultative selling is the key to what we can do with helping you. What gives us a kick is how we can help you. So whether we have helped Ratan Tata park his car in a safer manner, or we've helped BDL park missiles in a safer manner, or we help loading and unloading of aircrafts in a safer manner, or we do for third-party logistics like DHL, we help deliver Harley Davidson bikes. In all of these, it's always the operator who's the most important. So for me as a customer, it's more than the guy who signs the check. Is this guy who's important? So my team always goes and listens. We're always open to feedback, suggestions, and the vertical factory of the future. We're looking at things like automated guided vehicles, electric vehicles that are completely automated. Today, Amazon's factory is working again without people. That again is a little, extreme, because the amount of capex that will go into it is phenomenal. So I think taking baby steps from where we are today, as far as Indian industry is concerned, to take it to the next level, we need to invest into palletization, movement of things on a common ground, looking at vertical factory, looking at mezzanines, looking at goods lifts, looking at scissor lifts for truck loading, unloading. Think about telescopic conveyors for loading trucks and unloading trucks, containerized loading. So we are currently doing this for a customer who's almost filling up 6 containers a day, and it is very frenetic activity. But we think that the moment we put in a portable dock lift there in their factory, it'll become a much smoother operation. It'll become a much easier method that you can get going on this. So I would request you that if you see this link in the comments as well as in the description, you'll see this link called bit.ly/3iex5pl, or if you go there, you will be able to access the presentation. It will be mailed to you. This recording will also be accessed on this link for a little while. I completely enjoyed giving this presentation. I do hope we were able to add some value into your lives. And I want to promise from your side, if not for yourself, if not for your factory, think about that worker who works in your factory. Don't you think that he deserves a little bit of ergonomics? So think about ergonomics. Just stand like that old gentleman was standing in the factory and looking at how people were working. Just sit and stand and think about how you can make small adjustments in your factory so that their life can become safer and they can be more empowered. Because in India today, if somebody spent 50 years of his life without education, education is the only way he can grow up out of maybe poverty. Learning is, but for learning today you don't need education. For learning today, what you need to do is you need to only get into empowerment mode. The moment it is empowerment, trust me, there are cases in material handling which are like unparalleled. Last story, okay, since I have another few minutes, last story I would like to dictate to you. This is again, I always like to narrate stories based on my experience because I think stories relate much better. In one of the factories at Mahindra, at their tractor division, there is a place where they've actually put up a photograph of a guy who's a labor, guy with a topi. In Maharashtra, they call them mathadis. So I was asking these guys, saying, "What's this all about? Why have you honored him?" So they were like, this is for his ingenious solution. So we are like, "What's that?" Like, we imported a machine from America, and the machine weighed about, I think, 300 tons. Okay, that was the weight of the machine, and that had to be kept underground. It had to go about one floor down and get installed in the bottom of a pit. There was already an existing building over this, and this had to go down. So when people ordered, as usual, purchase people never. If any purchase people are watching, please forgive me, but that's in general grouse that everybody from operations will always say कि purchase वाला हमसे पूछा इनको क्या चाहिए. So as usual out here, the purchase guy, went ahead and asked the purchase people what they wanted. So it came out here to India. It came to the docks, and this suddenly these guys said that let us, what is that? Let us know how to install it inside. So everybody was like wondering, we'll get a crane and do it. What's the big deal? You get 300, 500 ton crane, so we'll put one here, one there. So they asked, what is the plan? What is the method statement? So at that point of time, they said that we'll demolish this building on top. We will keep one crane from this side. We'll keep one crane from this side. One crane from this side for redundancy again. We'll hire these 3 cranes. The machine will be in the middle. Slowly we'll lift it up, and then we'll slowly drop it down. So everything was good. But then somebody made an estimate that the cost to demolish the building, to call for these cranes, and then to lower it down, and then to building the building again was exceeding almost about 10.5 crores at that point of time. So at that point of time, they were all worried, saying, "Oops, we'll lose our jobs. We bought a machine that costs so much, and to install it, we will need to spend that much more time." So at that point of time, they tried everything. All the engineers that were there in this world, they were unable to solve this. I mean, not world, they were unable to do this. Then they finally called this Mathadi guy, saying, "I need your help. What can you do about it?" So he said, "I will take 10 lakh rupees. Will you do it?" They were like all surprised. They're like, 10 crore kidhar, 10 lakhs kidhar. He said, "Done. Okay. What will you do?" He said, "I will not tell. I need the contract to be done first." So what he did was he filled up that entire pit with ice. He waterproofed the entire machine by a thing. They pushed the machine onto the blocks of ice that came up, and slowly the ice was melting. They were keeping on sucking the water out. The ice melted. This went down and this got rested. So, like I said, the Occam's razor, simple there. The simplest solution is always the best. I think he got his photograph there. That is worth more than the 10 tons. I think this the last question came saying, can you make a tailgate of 3 ton? For sure. In fact, right now I'm talking to a customer who wants to lift an elephant. We are making a tailgate for an elephant also. So do get in touch. The best way to get in touch with is sales@nandan.co.in. Do give us a email with whatever is your problem with your contact details. I repeat that once again. It's sales@nandan.co.in. So once you send in there, we will immediately contact you. The sales team that we have is very responsive. All of them are empowered. It might not necessarily be me. It will be my sales team. I have a sales head, so that's the mail ID. Sales team with you'll hear Kedar is a sales head. You'll have Yagini, you'll have Shweta, Santosh, Akshay, Swanand. So all these guys will be calling on to you, asking your problem. They'll ask you a lot of questions because that's what we've taught them. Ask a lot of questions, understand the problem before jumping at a solution. So we are, completely there for you. We can support you in whatever way you deem fit. Whether we do business or not, that's the next step. But please take the step of making your business more ergonomic and safer, so that India can become top three. I think, yeah, let's look at making it into the top three economies of the world, or the $5 trillion economy. And the way we can contribute is to take it forward. Thank you once again, everybody who's come in. I think that there are I can see some recognized name from Delhi, from Calcutta, from Chennai, Mumbai, of course. A lot of friends around. I do hope you take some lessons out of these, put them into your own factories. It will be worthwhile lesson. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.